Well, hello everybody, and welcome in to a long-awaited uh, finished product video. Um, it has been since August since I have recorded, worked, and released anything in this Design from Home series. And to anybody who has been following along, I am very, very sorry. Um, the road over the last 7 has been absolutely insane. Um, I actually got a promotion at work, so I had a lot more responsibilities in January. There was a few months there where I just got lost in work and work and work. And I really do apologize to everybody, and especially my director, Weston. I was just talking to him, and I was telling him that it was really eating me up that I did not finish this properly. So that is why I am doing this today. Excuse me, and why I am going to excuse me, and why I'm going to finish this as best I can. This really does deserve a good closing. So, what I want to show you first is the set that we agreed on. This is a 3D set here, a 3D model of the set. This is pretty much one of our opening looks. Let me come over to my layers here, my classes. There we go. So this would be the opening of our show, SFB, as we've been calling it. There'll be a few differences here and there with color. This is pretty much what we'd go for with the bare stage in the back. In Act 2, we would go more for something like this, with those windows coming in for the kitchen scene that we see. As we head more and more through the show, these uh, graffiti legs would show up more. Um, just give me 1 second to actually pull up the graffiti legs. There we go. So these graffiti legs would actually start to show up with the blue light graffiti showing up more and more, and then getting to the point where even the back wall would be just this massive wall with just graffiti all over it, like we talked about before. I do apologize for that. Pull up the back wall. There's the graffitied back wall, excuse me, that would be just completely covered in that graffiti that we saw from our research video. So this is pretty much what we're working with. This is what our set's going to look like. It's very simple. You can see on the ground plan here, it's very simple, going from the front of the stage all the way to the back. We would be using part of the proscenium as we go through and onto the apron. And we wouldn't use the whole stage. We'd probably only use up until around behind this area. And all this would just be used as space for that. But we want to be able to use that depth in the stage, just to have that depth. So that's pretty much our set. And then really quickly, I'm going to take you through our lighting plot. So now I'm going to take you through a little bit of the plot that I made for this production. This imaginary production, as it were. So I'm just going to take you through a little bit of it, and then I'll probably take you through a little bit of my cue list, and then that'll be that. I'm very excited to actually have this fully realized now. Not fully realized, but finally have it done. Like I said in the intro part of this, it's been quite a few months since I've been able to really work on this. So I'm happy to now be able to finally finish it. So we're on the on-stage section of my plot here, and something you might already notice is that the stage is pretty bare. It's not a huge plot for this show. There's not a lot that's going to be going on. There are a few visual lighting cues that we're going to be working through, but on the whole, there's not a whole lot. So I have my Colorado backlight here, my LED backlight for all of my areas. I have my booms here that I'm going to be using throughout, as I mentioned. Um, Back here on the third and the fifth electric, I have a few source fours that I'm going to be shining through our windows in Act 2 with some transitional lighting, and maybe even during the scene during a couple spots. I think that would be pretty fun. I have my cyc lights, which we are going to use on the back wall itself, which I think will look great. And then something different here that I have on the first, second, fourth electric, and then even on a ground row is I have some UV lights. That's something that we might have somewhat gone over in a couple of our earlier videos, but those graffiti walls we talked about in the first half of this video that are going to be showing up are actually going to be showing up through UV light. All that graffiti that's going to be painted on there is going to be UV paint, and it's going to show up throughout the show with these UV lights that we're going to use. So that's where those come into play. Then you can see my ruler down here, of course, and my lovely title block with my director, Weston Young. I sent him that earlier, and he got a big kick out of it, and I did too, honestly. It felt really good to finally be able to type that out into a finished title block. Now we have the front of house section of my plot, and this shows you just all of the other stuff we are going to use. This expands upon my booms, and it also shows the box booms that we are going to use, and it shows our front of house lights. If we zoom in here a little bit, we can see on our box booms we're going to have some texture shooting in across the stage. We have my Altman Phoenixes on the booms themselves, which always come in handy. Of course, we have textures across both sides of the stage. And then we have our specials up here in the second front of house for our actors to stand in and talk directly to the audience. So, I mean, that's really the whole plot. As I mentioned, this whole plot is not very intricate. There are some effects that are going to be going on throughout the show, but this whole show itself is not very complicated for lighting. I think if I actually had the chance to do this, it would have been a great opportunity. I think it would have been a great bit of fun. But unfortunately, this is the best I can do right now. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take you a little bit through my cue list. It's not going to be a very long cue list, but it'll be something. It'll be, I'll show you some highlights from what would have been this production. So here we have my cue list that I would be using for SFB. And I'm going to take you through a few things here, just so I can give you some highlights. I don't think I'm going to go through every single cue because that would take a little while, to be honest. But I think I'm going to take you through a couple highlights and just a few things as I was going through, as I was starting out here. So obviously at the very beginning, cues 2 through 8, we have the basic cues, that would be called by the stage manager as we go through. As we start here, this play starts in a different way than I think I've seen any other show start. It actually starts by the main character walking on stage, and he says to the audience, literally the line is, and I quote, "The play will start when somebody says, start the fucking play." And the the director, be it Weston in this case or whomever, will actually have the actors wait until somebody in the audience actually says, start the fucking play. Um, so it can be a very, I haven't seen it staged myself, but that's one reason why I would really want to, is I would honestly just want to be in that room with that kind of awkward chuckle and then that silence and then just everything else that would transpire. It's just a very interesting start. Once somebody finally does say that, we're going to snap into that first look. Um, I think that's very appropriate. Just like, boom, we're here. Here we are. You'll notice as we go through each of the, we have lights fade. Like in Q14, we have lights fade onto Mosh for her little soliloquy. That's something I mentioned in our designer presentation section of this, which is for everybody that's going to speak to the audience at one point, they're going to have their own special, and it's going to be, that very stark white light, pretty much in their own world. So we go through, and we have the transitional lighting, as I mentioned before. Let's see. So we come down here to Q50. Actually, we'll start with Q50. Because here in Q50, we actually start with those UV lights starting to pop up more on the legs, popping up that graffiti as it goes through. It's just going to build gradually as the scenes go on, like we talked about earlier in this video. So we start now with Q56, and what's going to happen is we start with Q56 is going to be Nina starting her line. And then it's going to be a Q58 is going to be triggered right after that. And what's going to happen is the lights are going to fade more and more to Khan and as he's going through. And then he's going to eventually snap throughout his monologue. And I do believe he pulls out a gun. And there's actually a gunshot. And then it's going to be you're going to hear the gunshot in the audience, and there's going to be a quick beat, not even like a full beat. It's just like gunshot, boom, blackout. I don't know if I mentioned it before in any of my videos, but lighting, ending certain scenes is really punctuation. So if you're like looking for a big exclamation point, you're going to end in a fast blackout, a 0 count blackout, that snap out or that snap on. If you want to end with like sort of a question mark, you're going to fade it out a little bit slower, maybe like a 4 second count in your blackouts. If you want to end on just like a statement, a period, that's going to be probably like a 2 second blackout. And it's the same thing even when you think about lights coming up on a scene, how quickly they come up can really set the scene for what you're about to see, and everything else. So I have here marked out, I have the start of Act 1, which is something I'm trying to get better at with all of my cue lists. And then we have the intermission, and then there is the start of Act 2. And Act 2 is all in that kitchen scene, but there's not going to be a whole lot going on. Act 2 is all there. It's that nighttimey look, but the UV legs are still going to be on. But there's a lot that does happen throughout this scene. So it's going to be, as we go on, the scene shifts a couple times from part of the stage to part of the stage. But they also... there's another long follow as things start to somewhat break down, as everything just kind of breaks down on that page 56 as they're having their moment. So it's going to be a Q76 is going to go, and then 78 is going to follow right after that. And it's just going to be that long build of the back wall of graffiti. And in Q 80, we have the same type of feeling. You know, it's going to be that Soren has that line so much feeling, and it's going to wait for a beat. That's like a full beat in there. And then it's just so much feeling and then blackout. Um, and that's not a full 0 second blackout. You know, it's a 0.5. So, like, I tend to do this quite a bit. There is a difference between a zero count blackout and a 0.5. It's just that little bit of difference that just leaves you with that little bit. I don't want to say it leaves you hanging a little bit, but it does like leave that little bit, and how that blackout happens or how those lights change even. So we're into Act 3. And actually, one thing I want to point out about Act 2 is with those windows we have flying in, I'm going to be shining through a couple of different colors, and that they're going to come on at some point for like transitional lighting. So that's going to look really cool. I did that once with Songs for a New World. When I did that, we had a few windows, and I shone lights through them, and it was just a really cool texture, and I was really happy to be able to bring that back because, like I said, it's a really nice effect on stage. So then we get into Act 3, and there aren't really many changes here. What's going to be going on is we have just the scene set as it goes. You know, we have Q102 with again another follow, a long follow. You know, in this follow, things are just going to start to get sort of all over the place. You know, we're going to have cons breaking down as this is going on. So we're going to have more and more somewhat, I don't want to just say crazy lighting, but things are just going to get really out of hand. We're going to have some textures coming from on stage. We're going to have those uh, window specials coming in again. Everything's just going to get very loud. And we're going to then fade down on con. You know, and then as we get into Q110, what's happening is everybody is going to come up into their own special, and they're going to start talking about, they're going to go through their monologue. So like 110, 112, up until 122. That's all of them stepping into their special, giving their little monologue, their little piece about what's going on. And then 124, again, we have that sort of moment where it's the everybody is going to be in a company front, if you will, at this point, and they're all going to be in their own specials, talking about what's going on in their life and what's been going on throughout the play. So when we get to Q124, the end of the end of the play itself, Khan comes to this realization where I can't stop what's going on. I can't stop this. What's going on? And then he has a moment of realization where he somewhat, his mind goes back to the beginning of the show where you have to start the show with start the fucking play. He comes to this moment of, and then he has that stop the fucking play, and then it's just blackout. And something really cool that I was talking to Weston, my director, of course, about this, and I really love this idea, is that he is not going to have his actors do a curtain call. The end of this show and everything that happens in the last like few minutes of the show, to both of us, it just feels so much better if you don't have a curtain call. If you get a chance to read this play, please do, of course. I'm not doing it justice just by talking to you about this in this video. But it's just so emotional. The buildup is just so tension building as it goes through. And you just have that stop the fucking play. And then it's just blackout and then nothing. Like the house lights come up, the preset comes up, and everybody leaves. There's no curtain call, there's no nothing. It's just so fitting for the show. And I'm so happy, honestly, that we did end up going with that because, again, it's just so perfect and so well thought of by my director, and I'm so happy we were going with it. So I am That's my cue list for this show. I'm going to stop this recording here, and then I'm going to record a quick goodbye. Well, hey everybody, and thank you so much for joining me on this journey of Stupid Fucking Bird. I know it's been a long journey to say the least, but it's been fun getting to be able to work on it again. I just want to thank everybody for their patience in waiting for this. If any of you have been sort of glued to this and you were wondering what was going on, let's just say a lot was going on with work and everything else. But I finally got it done. Weston and I had a great conversation a couple weeks ago, and we were able to come together and come up with a wonderful ending for this. So I do hope you have enjoyed this. I hope you've enjoyed both of these series. I know, again, there was a lot of time in between what happened with them, but I'm really happy I was able to do this. I'm happy with the whole product I was able to put together with my two directors. I hope any of you watching these in the future or anytime soon have enjoyed them. I hope you've learned a thing or two. This started off as just a fun project when everything shut down because of the pandemic. I hope if you ended up watching any of these, again, you learned something and maybe it brought you a little bit of joy. Maybe you're a theater artist who hasn't been able to do anything. And you're like me, you're struggling to find stuff and, you found this and thought, maybe it'll be something cool to check out. So anyway, that's pretty much everything. I can't thank all of my viewers for tuning in during these. It's been so much fun to make these. Thank you to Megan Robb, my first director. Thank you to Weston Young, my second director. It was an absolute pleasure to work with both of you. I do hope I get a chance to work with you in the real world. It would be an absolute pleasure. It would be an absolute joy to be able to work with you in the real world. If anybody wants to reach out about what I did or is interested in maybe hiring me for any position, my website is going to be in the bio of this video, and you guys can check it out. My contact info is on there, and that's it. Again, I hope you really did enjoy this series. I know I did, and I'm sure I'll see you again soon. Bye.